Buongiorno a tutti.
Good morning, everybody, and a very happy new year. It is always a pleasure and an emotion to be here because I always feel a big burden of responsibility when I talk to colleagues, friends, professionals from all over the world. So, thank you very much for being here. And I would like to thank the Fiera di Vicenza for hosting us. And thank you very much to our guests today. I would like to say that luxury is not opulence, but the privilege to be able to contribute to social change. Because for me, producing culture in the world of luxury and jewelry is a very important point, because here we find the roots for change. We are here to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Fiera di Vicenza from 1954 to 2024. 70 years telling us about the history of the nation, of the world, how we moved from black and white to color TV, and the historical and social transformation, social rights. And all this has influenced jewelry, not only the markets and the economy, but also the way how you buy jewelry, how you wear jewelry. In 54, women could not vote. Today, women not only do vote, they are emancipated, even though we're still going through a significant crisis regarding the civil rights in general, not only women's civil rights. We talk about fluidity, gender fluidity, which is not only related to gender as sex, but also cultures, races. I am actually celebrating 25 years of cooperation with this wonderful show, and I am honored to be part of this. And I grew up with this world, so I would like to thank this industry for embracing me and having me for all these years. Preservation is the title, is the theme of this event. We have extrapolated it from Trendbook 2025. And preservation celebrates the values of the Made in Italy for future legacy. This is just an example. Made in Italy today, but I would like to stress the fact that preservation is a term that applies to all cultures, to the whole world. Italy, geographically, has a very important value. It is located in the Mediterranean, and the crucial point is the connection between the north and the south, the east and the west. And it is the Mediterranean that is rich in culture, and therefore it puts together styles and ways of expression that enrich the concept of Made in Italy. Made in Italy, per se, is an extraordinary mixture of many, many cultures that, joined together, becomes something magical, something marvelous, awesome. So preservation goes hand in hand with the term sustainability, of which there is a lot of talk. But unfortunately, in our daily life, we still do too little. We are not that aware of this. Talking about the business, I mean, apart from large organizations such as RJC, Watches and Jewelry Initiatives, I mean, we ourselves in our daily life, when we go to work, how do we act sustainability? Well, we're going to talk about these values today that contribute to this change. I have the honor today to tell you and to describe these themes with the help of some friends and colleagues. And I really do hope, because this is a moment when we want to educate, stimulate, and inspire you. We're here to serve you. So let's start.
Venezia,
We live in the country wonderful, which is full of beauty, the city of Gattopardo, Venice, and these are some of the most important landmarks. Italy is the country with more sites that are considered as a heritage of mankind. mountains countries, and this is what gave rise to Made in Italy, a country full of taste, good wines, spaghetti, and fashion designers that representing good taste as art in Vicenza is producing. Indeed, Vicenza is celebrating the 70th anniversary. There's no future without the past. The future probably is going to be artificial intelligence. Therefore, we are going to be able to transform this new technology into an opportunity. A century has gone by, but it was only 70 years ago when the birth of Italian television started. Now we have a lot of platforms transforming messages and images to understand at the time we live, new climatic challenges and new people that are not always reliable. Cinema has changed. We had the realism with the stealers of bicycles to the movie by Cortellesi. Tomorrow is still there. We belong to the world of excellences that we succeeded in manufacturing thanks to our master crafts, and we're going to interpret this prestige in the future. Thank you. Thank you. That was Mariella Milani.
Non dovrei farlo, ma ci tengo.
I shouldn't do this, but I'd like to introduce her more formally. You are a woman that I greatly appreciate, a top journalist. You spent 37 years at RAI, and you are the voice of fashion and society in Italy. Thank you very much, Mariella, for accepting our invitation. It is an honor to have you. Good morning to you. It is my pleasure. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm very pleased that Paola invited me in 1.5 minutes to tell you about Made in Italy. And what I just said in this video corresponds to what I feel. I believe that Made in Italy is certainly a great opportunity across the board. And yet we probably have lost something because we haven't protected Made in Italy as we should have done. Mariella, how do you think the world of fashion has changed over the past decades? Well, it changed dramatically. In 1994, after being a journalist for many years, after dealing with citizens' rights, mafia, my chief director asked me to devote myself to fashion and Made in Italy. I thought that he was joking. I thought that I didn't have the knowledge in the fashion industry. And he said, just because you are a bold journalist, you're going to tell a story with a different perspective. And this is what I've done. Actually, I've gone through important years. In 1994, we would go to fashion shows, and we were witnesses of extraordinary scenes and shows, as is the case with the fashion show put together by Gianfranco Ferré, Versace. And those were very important events, something that probably cannot be repeated, and that time is gone. Especially so today with the scandals, we've seen that now there's the bubble of the new economy, and now realize that everything is changed, everything is changing. The future ahead of us is not very clear to understand, it's not very clear to see, because the truth is that everything is changing and is doing so quite dramatically. The wars we are witnessing are further evidence of the chaos ahead of us. There are things that are happening that we cannot quite understand, that are having a big impact on us all. And I believe that it is going to be very important for us to change our language. What I have experienced in the past, that is the world of fashion that was quite extraordinary and fabulous. Well, this is something that is finished. This is over. Well, perhaps artificial intelligence can be certainly an opportunity and a big threat, because those who follow the news, those who are apace with latest news, know that everything can be said by somebody who's actually not saying what the video says. So everything can be actually misinformation, disinformation. Fake news are actually the news. It is very difficult today to talk about what we are experiencing today, because everything is changing. I'd like to ask you a question that I hadn't anticipated, but if I can do so, because I'm sure that you can answer any question. So against this backdrop, and you yourself know that you have to adopt a new language, and now you shifted from the television to the web, what should be preserved and what should be changed? I didn't mean to talk about Ferragni, but I believe that Ferragni has shown and has proven to be a bench test of the world today. The world of communication, which is the world that obviously includes yourselves. Well, this is a world that has been changed dramatically. Now, there's a need for authenticity. As a journalist, I decided I didn't want to have anybody telling me what I should say, and I realized that social media and the web, despite the fact that Umberto Eco said that that the web gives the floor to millions of imbeciles. So Umberto Eco was right, but at the same time, even the craftsmen can have a say now. Even a craftsman can become famous. Now, thanks to the web, we actually have industry that were born of a single craftsman. Estetista Cinica, for example, this is a famous brand that started off as a small brand and now is selling a lot. Why is that? Well, because probably the right communication has been identified by that beauty specialist. So I myself reinvented myself, sticking all my hopes on authenticity. Consumers, such as followers, are not just idiots that can buy everything or can they understand if people tell the truth, and if they do so not just to earn money but to tell the truth. I was a born journalist, and I will die as a journalist, and I'm going to do so as long as I wish, because you know, it is not money I work for. As a matter of fact, what I do is telling the truth. This is what my main core business. And I believe that this is something that we see across the world. Everybody requires authenticity, values. This is what people need. So people need a real relationship, a true relationship. So there are people that are still looking after millions of followers. There are certain influencers that are just selling nonsense and that are willing to spend a lot for the conversion rate, to promote the conversion rate. Well, these are over, because it is not to find buyers that you want to be on the web. You have to transfer values. And this is something that you can do with your jewelry, with your creative jewels. And that authenticity is key. Quality is also important, right? So authenticity and quality are rewarding and will continue to be so. How do you think that social media users look at the world of fashion and jewelry? Because, you know, jewelry and fashion go hand in hand together, right? Whenever we talk about fashion industry, well, I believe that that includes jewelry as well, because they are both expressions of the individual. Well, I believe that what we wear tells us what we are. We might be willing to play also with fashion, as Moschino said. But, you know, early in the morning when we have to pick up a pair of earrings or a necklace, we do so because that necklace actually tells who we are. And as a matter of fact, again, the jewelry has become part of our lifestyle and tells the world who we are. I believe that we should, again, talk about the values of beauty and value. So certainly very expensive piece of jewelry, not something that we're going to wear to go to work, but there's going to be some eccentricity or some something, so you maybe you are all dressed in black and then you wear something eccentric as a piece of jewelry, because that is something that makes you feel something different. So this is how you wear a piece of jewelry as well. And you are conveying a message by way of wearing a certain item of fashion or jewelry, especially so if the people look at you and trust you. Mariella, now to wrap up. How do you anticipate, what do you anticipate about Made in Italy? Well, I think that Made in Italy is something quite extraordinary. There's no other country such as Italy in terms of assets, tourism, food, many beautiful things, and it is no coincidence there are so many tourists that travel into Italy. Why is that? Because our lifestyle, because our character, our empathy, our food are great. And Made in Italy is actually the oil of this country. But we don't know how to dig this oil. We don't know how to attach more importance to it, how to enhance it. As Italians, we don't understand that we walk on diamonds, just to follow again the subject of this meeting. But if we understand how to work as a system, as a network, if we cooperate, if we establish links, if we develop true networks, we'll certainly make it, we'll certainly succeed in being reborn, because we are certainly going to find a new birth. Thank you to Mariella. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
And now, I'm waiting for un video.
The video.
Signore e signori, Lucia.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lucia Silvestri, Bulgari Jewellery Creative and Gems Buying Director. It is an honor to have you here. I call you the gem hunter on high heels. And I have to say, I have low heels today, and you told me that I look better on high heels. You look beautiful anyhow. Good morning, and thank you very much for being here. I am a little bit excited. Well, your presence here is illuminating the whole room. Bulgari is worldwide, not just a brand, but the values of Made in Italy. History, liturgy, elegance, culture. Irradiating from Italy throughout the Mediterranean and the world. I have the pleasure of knowing Lucia personally, and she's a really special person, an icon, a true icon. This is why I was so adamant to have her here today. And I would like to start asking you how your passion for gemstones was born. Please tell us also about your professional evolution at Bulgari. It is a long story. I was a young lady studying biology, and I wanted to specialize in nutrition. But my father, who used to work at Bulgari, asked me to replace a lady who took maternity leave. And once I started working for Mr. Bulgari, I really fell in love with this industry. And I started dreaming about being able to do this job. So I was supported by the Bulgari family. They believed in me. They actually understood that my love and my passion were real. They asked me to go on working for them. I followed my heart. I left university, and I'm not regretting anything because I really followed my heart. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions which are not in the program. Please tell me about the first time you went to India with Mr. Bulgari. What did you feel when you were hunting for gemstones at the beginning? That was a magical journey. India is a magical country. I really believe in the energy of gemstones. Being surrounded by gems for the whole day, being amongst colors and vibrations, I mean, it was such a big emotion. And that was the proof of the fact that that was my future. And this happens to me every time I go to India, not only on the first journey was special, but all my journeys to India are special. I came to your office in Rome. You're surrounded by gemstones, and you talk to gemstones in the morning. It is true. Not all that normal, but everybody knows now that I talk to my gemstones. I lay my table with gemstones. I love my gemstones, and I love to play with them, matching their colors, feeling them, touching them, because having to do with the gemstones does not mean looking at it only. You have to touch it. And if you think that gemstones are a present given by nature to human beings who transform them in wonderful gemstones and beautiful jewelry, well, that's a wonderful job. Yes, and my next question is, which are the technical and emotional parameters that are at the base of the Bulgari gemstone selection? I mean, this intangible element, the emotions, which is part of the ingredients when you produce jewelry, that's understood, but which are the parameters for selecting gemstones? Well, you've understood the emotional parameter is fundamental. I know it is for you. The color, the cut, inclusions, clarity, carriage, these are all fundamental elements, but a gemstone must elicit emotions, and you have to work on this emotion. And we work hard to give beauty, and unless you use your feelings, your emotions, you don't get the result. Well, let me talk about the Bulgari manufacturing company. I mean, you create objects which are desirable and desired. So which are the fundamental elements of a Bulgari jewelry when you design, say, the Serpenti collection? This extraordinary maison has conjugated technology with feelings. But how do you actually design jewelry? How do you manufacture it? Creativity is paramount for our brand. So we work with creativity, we work with the craftsmen to understand whether what we imagine is feasible. So it's a teamwork. I do not deserve all the merit. I am just like the orchestra director, creating harmony between buyers, designers, craftsmen, quality, passion, and working together as a team are all fundamental elements of our brand. And there is our legacy as well. So in our high jewelry workshop, we have senior craftsmen working with junior craftsmen. So we are passing over competence, experience. Without the maestro, without your master, you can't progress. And I can boast I had fabulous maestros. I'm still learning a lot. But when I started with humbleness, I was taught by great masters. Right, that's preservation, tradition and innovation. I know that you're very keen on inspiring young people. I know that you work a lot with young people. I know that you have an excellent social channels on Instagram with so many followers. And you explain what you do and how you are as a person. And I know that many young people write to you asking for advice, and you reply to all their questions. So tell us about this, donating and passing over what you know and sharing. Yes, in the last few years, I have developed my Instagram profile, which has taken on its own life, so to say, in an unexpected way. I have fun and I'm passionate about it because many young followers ask me so many questions, and I always say, follow your passion. You need your passion, you need your determination, and you need to work hard, otherwise you won't get anywhere. But you must always be realistic. So if you feel your talent, your attitude, follow it. But you have to be humble and determined, especially if you're a woman. We're still evolving, but this is still a predominantly male world. Right, and that leads to the next question. I mean, you're a woman who started many years ago. Which type of challenges did you have to tackle as a woman in a world of men at international level, and also traveling to other countries like India as a young woman in a significant role? It was not easy. I was very, very young, and the world was a male world. And my frustration was tangible when I could select gemstones, because that was viewed as a lady's job. But when I started bargaining and negotiating, there was a lot of resistance. But I wanted to be able to negotiate, which is the male side of the masculine part of my job. But I believe I succeeded. And now, after many years, more than 40 years, I feel I am respected. And I'm very glad about that. And I'm very proud of you. Right, in the documentary film Into the Dream, telling about Bulgari, about you showing the journey of a gem hunter, one of the words I really like is no. You are able to say no. Do you like it? No. Is that fine? No. How important is it to say no in life and at work, to be able to achieve what you want to achieve? Being able to say no is fundamental, but you have to say no in the right way. Maybe there are some pliers here. They know that I have said no many, many times. But when I say no, I say it kindly, in a determined way, and with my own reasons. It is much easier to say yes than to say no. Absolutely. Lucia, I would like you to leave us with the vision of the present and the future of jewelry and of Made in Italy jewels. Tradition is fundamental. Let's not forget about master goldsmiths, master stone cutters. These are all traditions that must be maintained, and young people have to be capable of following them with humbleness and with the desire of learning aspects that may be less fascinating but that are magical. Work with your hands, because craftsmanship is paramount. Thank you very much, Lucia. It was a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Come vedete,
As you see, I was totally fascinated with Lucia, and I was really taken by the great charm of my two guests, Mariella Milani and Lucia Silvestri. And now I'd like to invite another very special guest, Alessia Crivelli.
un'amica.
Alessia Crivelli, an extraordinary woman, a friend. General Manager at Crivelli and President of Fondazione Intelligenti. I strongly wanted Alessia to be on stage because she is the new generation of Italian entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur. You're young, so I can say so. She's only 43 and she's leading quite an important company. So she's a member of a new generation. She's a talented woman. She's a woman that works very hard and has a vision. She has a great businessman, and she's also an extraordinary mother. She has 4 children, 4 sons, so she's a wonderful superwoman. And she has set up this extraordinary foundation, which is called the Fondazione Intelligenti. But let's talk about Crivelli first, how it was set up in the 70s with your father, and you took up the baton after your dad, and your father has been very strict, so it wasn't very difficult. It was my father, of course, so let us talk about the origins of Crivelli and what has the generational shift entailed. First of all, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. It is an honor to be here with you. Well, our company was set up in the 70s. We are based in Valenza. Valenza is a city which is very much focused on jewels. So this is incredible because this is something that already tells about Made in Italy, because many companies were set up in Valenza, and many people, just myself, so second generation entrepreneurs that grew up within the family business. My father started off as with jewelry making for third parties, and he has always had an incredible creativity, and this is something that's going to be a feature with him at all times. He has a great passion. He is incredibly bold. He started off touring Italy to find new customers and providing jewels for other customers. So this is how he started off, basically. I remember coming to the trade fair in Vicenza as a kid. And so because he was coming to Vicenza, he grew up and became the company that, as you know it today, a very important company in Italy and worldwide. You have branches worldwide. What are your main markets? Well, we're basically everywhere because we have quite a number of resellers. We have a non-branch in New York, and then we also are present in the Middle East, in Europe, Italy, of course, because Italy is the country where we were set up originally. But let's talk about the product, because I believe that this is something very important also for our next guest. But let's talk about jewels. The world of jewelry. What is the ongoing challenge in combining heritage and being innovative at the same time? Because design obviously is synonymous with function, wearability. This is obviously a key issue. Worldwide, there's an important and fierce competition. What we succeed doing in Italy is combining heritage, technology, and innovation. How do you do this at Crivelli? Well, first and foremost, we do as any other family business. So there's a team of people. The family basically, the family translates into a team. There's a constant, ongoing research going on. And one of our strengths is that we've always focused on human relationships. So we've always been very keen in devoting time to our suppliers, to our resellers, to all the people that work with us. And they provide us with inspiration because there's an exchange of information, even when we just have a chat. And if you can basically read through the lines, you may detect some needs, requirements, dreams perhaps, and you work on that. Then you should also consider that my dad is incredibly creative, is a hugely creative man. So basically does what Lucia was telling about. He also has a passion for gemstones. And, you know, I have in mind the image of my dad looking at gemstones, choosing one, touching one. And usually there could be, for example, a classic jewel that he looks at, and he may change just something small and developing something new. There's something that is emerging in our conversation. So the emotion, the emotional aspect, the feeling, the perception. So creativity basically is synonymous with the feeling and emotion. In the business world, sometimes you might think that you only talk about carrots, money, figures, exports, but what is emerging out of this 1.5 hours conversation is that the luxury world actually attach greatest importance to emotions, to family being a team. And this is something that is quite extraordinary if you think about it. So basically, luxury is where what is intangible becomes tangible. So thank you very much for sharing this with us. And now let's move on to the Fondatore Intelligenti. This is a project that you had in mind, and what happened? Well, as a matter of fact, I thought about it, and I developed that with a number of other companies. I am the president of this Fondazione at the moment. And we started off in 2018 officially. Yet we had some previous meetings, but in 2018 the foundation was incorporated. So there are 14 members, founding members. And this is quite innovative because in the history of jewels, for the first time, 14 partners basically join hands setting up this foundation, trying not to be too individual in our approach, but we wanted to focus on training and education because we were experiencing an actual issue that we didn't have young craftsmen. So all of us detected this lack of young craftsmen, and we wondered why this was the case, because there's no need to pass on some knowledge with nobody listening or heeding to our message. So perhaps we were wrong in communicating. This is basically the basic issue. So we realized that perhaps we were sending out the wrong message in a way. That's why nobody was heeding our message in that we needed young craftsmen. We have to basically tell the story that has led to what we know as made in Italy. We have to tell this story, otherwise nobody is going to heed it. They actually, everybody can perceive that a certain object is well made, but you know, there's a lot of people that contributed to that piece of jewelry. A jewel is forever, and that is basically is passing on the message of our heritage, of the message of what we are, of our country, Italy. Italy is made up of families, family clashes, because you always have struggles in the family, but then also this leads to the family growing, developing, enhancing. So if you tell the story of the person that has chosen a certain gemstone, of the why a certain design has been made along that gemstone, basically there's an added value to it that you have to share. So you have to tell this story, you have to share this past history. then there might be the case where something has gone wrong, when nobody's heeding your message. So you may have to look at the new generation. New generation is quite extraordinary. It is made up of people to grasping very easily and fast. They are so fast. They can solve their problems. They can think out of the box. And this is what is very incredible, because we want to preserve our values and our skills, but we have to be as good in making these skills understandable so that young generations can understand that and pass it on. And they are all very good at doing this. The crafts of excellence. So these young craftsmen, are they interested in craftsmanship, in working at the bench, in basically leaving behind smartphone and social media and so on and so forth? Thank you for this wonderful question. At the beginning, we had very negative expectations. We thought that nobody would pick up our message, that nobody would be interested in becoming craftsmen. But as a matter of fact, we started changing our approach, becoming more welcoming vis-a-vis young people, telling a different story, and their interest was elicited. And they are good. Young people are so good. They like it a lot. They like using their hands. And this is something that I just saw. Seeing a dream coming true, contributing with their hands and perceiving their emotion when they see something beautiful is something that is valuable. So perhaps we've been finally right at doing this, at communicating the beauty about it. Well, Alessia, now to wrap up, what is the mission that you feel you have as a businesswoman, as a woman in the business that is willful and determined, and you have some kind of motherly sharing in dealing with young generations? How do you see the future in our industry? Well, I believe the future is going to be difficult and different and beautiful. I believe that our roots are going to be strengthened in change in a gentle way. And this is something that we have to convey. The idea of being gentle is something that we have to convey to young people. If we are gentle, they're going to be gentle themselves. So this is a message that we have to convey to them. And I believe that young craftsmen are going to be able to establish a connection between our heritage and the new jewels to come, and this is something that we can trust they are going to be able to do. Thank you. Thank you, Alessia. Thank you.
And now, I would like to invite on stage Amedeo Scognamiglio. Amedeo Scognamiglio, founder and creative director of Salvatore, Mennella, and Amedeo Kings of Cameos. Well, we go back several decades, don't we? We can't say how many, because we don't want anybody to guess how old we are. I remember you in New York. I was at the beginning of my career. You were at the beginning of your career. Yours is the 6th generation, yes. And Amedeo was already there, even though he could have worked in Torre del Greco because of his family business. He decided to go to New York, and he rolled his sleeves up, and he wanted to be in the world. He wanted to know. He wanted to bring something new to his family business. So I'm very glad to have you here because you can tell us how everything started and how you made the 6th generation working in the business. Well, I happen to be the 6th generation in my family, but being part of a family legacy of a multi-generational family business is a privilege. It is a support, but it is also a big responsibility. Developing something that started 150 years before may pose some constraints. I mean, thinking about the concept of preservation, which is a topic of today's event and the title of today's event, I mean, to preserve means conserving, keeping something safe. But if you keep something safe, you know, the craftsman's tradition in jewelry may suffer if you don't do anything. There's a risk of doing what grandfather used to do, both in terms of aesthetics and in narration and communication of the product. This means that you are not following the development of your world, both in commercial terms and in aesthetic terms. So I had to sever my bonds. I have to put some distance between me and my place of origin. And I did that when I went to New York, where I was immersed in a new reality. And in this new reality, when I said I make cameos, people used to laugh at me. I remember my grandmother used to have a cameo. But, you know, no pressure, no diamonds, as we say in the world of diamonds, meaning that from that humiliation, when our fashion friends used to say that camels were something for their grandmothers, I found the strength to innovate, to do something different. And I realized that unless I did something totally different, completely changing the image of the product would have become a souvenir or a museum item, something that everybody finds awesome, but nobody buys. And if nobody buys anything, the whole industry is going to die. This is why I make some dramatic changes. In 2006, I opened my first boutique in New York. And I decided and committed myself to avoid presenting brooches or female profiles look like the traditional cameo. I decided to do something completely different. Skulls, monkeys, snakes, different shapes, never brooches, but big cocktail rings. And it was an immediate success because it was something new. And it did not identify with the ancient Victorian cameo. But that was not easy. I paid dearly for that. My father was in total disagreement. He said, "What are you doing? What are these skulls? You don't do that." And at that point, I decided that I did not want to give up a market share. But I didn't want this product to be in a specific market share. I wanted the new product to be in Saks Fifth Avenue and similar stores. And I was able to show my products in trendy shops where my products were not assimilated to Victorian cameos, but were viewed as a top-range design product based on the cameo tradition. So, in the end, I owe everything to Torre del Greco, to the craftsmen of Torre del Greco, to the master craftsmen I grew up with, many of whom I've learned from all of them, and some of them maybe had only attended 3 years at school, but I learned so much from them, and I absorbed such culture that probably not even a fine art university course can give you. This is really moving. How wonderful. However, if I had not gone to New York, if I had not moved to New York, if I had not experienced a completely different world, I would not have been able to create something disruptive. So, and I don't know whether this tradition would still be alive. Right, New York, Capri, and Dubai. I mean, you decided to be cosmopolitan just like I am. We share this. But how does this affect your way of living, designing, thinking? Well, I believe, and this is Roberto, my partner, who unfortunately left us too soon 3 years ago. So we have always thought that designing jewelry on a piece of paper with watercolors does not bring you to anything. When you design a piece of jewelry, you have to think about a woman, your customer. Maybe not that specific customer that will buy it, but you need a direction. You have to choose that direction. You can't please everyone. Absolutely. So you have to choose your segment, your customer. And unless you think about your customer, you're lost. I mean, you draw and produce jewelry which has no soul and no destination. So traveling all over the world is very important because it gives me this creative direction and orientation, teaching me about the lifestyle of my customer. Lifestyle is very important because if your customer goes to certain hotels in certain parts of the world and dines in certain restaurants, then she will wear a different kind of jewelry compared to another customer who maybe lives in the countryside. On top of that, I believe that Made in Italy is the most amazing craftsmanship tradition in the world. We do not have any stronger craftsmanship tradition. We're strongly geolocalized in Italy. And since Nemo Profita in Patria, we have to bring this tradition the furthest possible from its place of origin so that it can be disseminated and it can be kept alive. It is the 700th anniversary of Marco Polo this year, and there will be celebrations all over the world, from China to the United States. And Marco Polo is a traveler. So traveling is part of the DNA of Made in Italy products. And it is through traveling that we can mix the collective intelligence that originates beauty, rooted in the melting pot of many cultures. A jewelry designer is like a DJ, remixing old songs of the 60s with contemporary music. I mean, you take a song and you add something, a new rhythm. It's still the old song, but it has been revamped. And unless you do that, everything is stagnating. And you cannot reach a new market. I mean, 20-year-old individuals buy luxury items today. They spend 3,000 euros for a pair of sneakers. So they want a bangle, which is just as precious. They understand that because in the last few years, there was a misunderstanding that young people were no longer buying jewelry. It's not true. There is a big share of young people inspired by TikTokers and influencers desiring jewelry. Pearls are very trendy today. So, of course, you have to communicate this using their language, in a contemporary language. And you have to follow these developments and understand them so that you can offer the right product. Very often, there is no communication between the trade and the digital communities, for instance. Talk about celebrity culture. Talk about Sarah Jessica Parker, who took your jewelry in the 90s. Of course, celebrity culture is the culture of the last 20, 30 years, but it has changed. I owe so much to that first product placement in Sex and the City, with Sarah Jessica Parker opting for my jewelry, my cameos, and then King Cattrall, Samantha was wearing Faraone Mennella jewelry, and that was a boom from 0 to 1,000 in the most important shops in the world. In the most important magazines, Vogue, Nick and a Country, thanks to that lucky product placement. But that was something organic. I mean, we did not pay her, we did not ask her, there was no stylist in between. Then we had Patricia Field, who became a friend of ours, but that was a natural thing. She loved cameos, so Sarah Jessica Parker got to know that there was a young man in New York selling cameos, and she thought that was a dead art, something that was disappearing. So you were in the right place at the right moment. Exactly. But you were there. You were not in Naples. Exactly. So Spike Lee, for instance, is a very dear customer of ours as well as a friend. But first he was a customer. And with his style, he has totally changed our demographics. A man, an African-American man. So you can imagine the sport, Magic Johnson, the pop world. I mean, they would have never thought about cameos in the past. These two worlds would have never collided. Having said this, I have my strategy. I do not beg anybody. I do not pay anybody. I do not think that's the right vibrational frequency, so to say. So if it happens, that's fine. If it does not happen, that's fine nevertheless, because our customers, I mean, when they come to buy jewelry, this is different from buying fashion. The jewelry industry is making the mistake of going in parallel with fashion, following the same schemes and trying to be fashionable. But jewelry is bought in a completely different moment. Jewelry is something more personal. The customer does not go shopping for jewelry with her friends. She goes shopping for shoes with her friends. And the customer thinks a lot before buying a piece of jewelry. So it is a slow buying process. Exactly. It is a slow buying process. And sometimes the purchase materializes after years. The lady starts dreaming of a piece of jewelry, and then after years, she makes that investment, sometimes after 10 years. So following those fast, impulsive schemes that are typical of fashion, that are too celebrity-focused, that doesn't work with jewelry. That's a mistake. I have another question. I know that you love the digital world and you are in the metaverse, you deal in NFTs, with AI are producing amazing cameos. So how do you see innovation? How do you see the digital world and creativity? Well, I don't believe that AI is going to change everything and that's a pity and so on and so forth. No. AI is a tool. It is an instrument to do something. And to use AI, ChatGPT or other platforms, the prompt makes a difference. And you have to prompt AI. So if you do not have the prompt in your head, I mean, you may be good at making jewelry, but many people make horrible pieces of jewelry, because your own taste is something different. And the same is true for AI. If the prompt is not excellent, so the prompt is the input that you give to the platform. Just saying this for those who maybe are not so familiar with platforms. That's a written description that you have to give to ChatGPT or to any other platform. So it is stupid to rebel against this kind of tools. It's like during the Industrial Revolution, when people did not accept the advent of cars and they just wanted to go on horses. However, so the beginning is the idea. Everything starts from ideas. The idea is then transferred into the material. And if the idea is good, any instrument, any tool that can be used and that can transform the idea into a high quality product is fine. NFTs are something different. When there was the NFT boom, they asked me to make an NFT for Exclusible, a platform dedicated to the launch of luxury NFTs. I immediately said yes, even though I had not understood what I had to do. But I think that any innovation is positive for a business, especially an independent and small business. I mean, we need reasons for people to talk about us, also to give some lightness to our business, to a product that traditionally is a slow, maybe even a heavy product. So with an NFT, I could have brought my concept of ultra-modern cameos or unexpected, humoristic, sarcastic cameos into the metaverse. And it was an amazing success. Also an amazing commercial success, because we sold 1,000 NFTs, which are unique with generative art. It was really exciting. There was a public offering meeting, and in a few minutes we sold everything. NFTs today have changed. They are no longer a product that you can buy and sell on an open sea, but thanks to the lightness of design, thanks to the hype of punks and apes, they have brought our world closer to blockchain technology. And this year, in 2024, we're going to make use of blockchain to register the journey of every single in-house produced jewelry item. And this is like a digital passport that will be given to our pieces of jewelry, and the life of this piece of jewelry will go on with the customer, the heir of the customer, the friend of the customer, if the customer is going to give this piece of jewelry to somebody. That's extraordinary. Yes, because I'm growing older. After these first 22 years, we are now seeing our jewelry being sold at auctions. And I think, well, I don't know who bought it. Maybe it is stolen, you know. So with the blockchain technology, we're going to create a digital passport that will also give the advantage to the owner of the item and the digital passport. Advantages such as an estimate of the item, services, after-sale services if necessary, thus reducing also the issues of theft, robbery. Exactly, and it also gives a benchmark in terms of value. Exactly. Right, I could talk for hours with you, and as you can see, we are using up more time than allowed, but I'm so glad to listen to you, like our audience, I believe. So if you were to sum up what you've just told us, I mean, which is the future of the Made in Italy, and which are your values, Amedeo? The Italian craftsmanship is beautiful, well made, because we have culture. We have a long-lasting culture. I always remind my customers that my craftsmen when they were children, they used to walk on stone streets that were made in the 18th century. When they go to church, they see Caravaggio paintings. That art is absorbed and comes out in their work. Not all countries have got such a rich cultural history as we have. So this heritage makes us fabulous, whatever we do, from food to jewellery. Thank you very much, Amedeo. Thank you.
And now, eccoci.
Here we are. Well, I believe that this second part is going to be shorter. I'll summarize what have been said so far. We're going to see what we may consider preservation stands for in terms of design, product, and innovation. We talked about tradition and innovation, right? And I have been a listener, and as you are, in these conversations, and I breathe these feelings, these emotions, these, something that you might not need, water, something that we badly need. But what about a jewel? What about a piece of jewelry? It only exists because it is connected to emotion, something intangible, something that has a value, because otherwise it is nothing but an object. With our guests, we have heard how our company is set up and managed through different a family that is a team that entails listening to one another. It is the result of a collective intelligence, which is often used in the world of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence develops through the prompting of human beings using cognitive thinking. And this is the wonder of what is before our eyes now. The values of immediately include all the above. In other countries, there are similar values. So I believe that sharing and generosity even in sharing an idea, passing on values from masters to the learners to young generations is key. When we talk about fluidity, we don't just refer to gender fluidity of sexes, of genders, but also in terms of age, race, and so on and so forth. So I believe that being fluid is a very important and distinctive feature. Now that we talk about civil rights, so we have to consider that not only do we have to respect the rights of women, but also of any race. Preservation is a visionary project that serves as a manifesto. We are celebrating here at the 77th anniversary of the Vicenza Trade Fair, but preservation is a manifesto for all cultures, including the US, China, India, and the Middle East. The pride of belonging is what ensues after crossing paths and meeting up. History-telling entails preserving the cultural heritage, our cultural heritage, everybody's cultural heritage. And I'm going to show what is happening. These are images created by artificial intelligence, although there's a strong desire for history and mythology. So thinking about the Z generation or millennials, we are referring to young people in their 20s or 30s. Well, they experience that there's a strong wish for mythology, past history, so much so that if you visit the web and even in gaming and video games, you see that there are many characters coming from mythology. mythology is not just ancient mythology. There's a strong desire also for new myths, not just the celebrities, but also new inspirations and new social directions. So you might think, what has the jewel to do with all of this? Well, jewels, and yesterday, by the way, I was talking about it together with Amedeo. The jewel, a classic jewel, is that of the Victorian age. We are referring again to the British Victorian age, including only white people, and not included any coloured people. And that is something that is certainly non-inclusive vis-a-vis other races or other generations. And then that means something that might have skipped our mind. But, communicating nowadays involves including many other bits and pieces that we might have taken for granted. So getting together, mixing up is a main feature in the way also we wear our jewels. Based on your ethnic group of belonging, even the alloys, the colors of the alloy changes. So you may have 24 karat, 18 karat gold or white gold. White gold is usually the one which is preferred in Northern Europe, whereas yellow gold, 18 karat gold is used elsewhere, and 24 karat gold is used in Asia. So design, as Amedeo was just saying, is not just synonymous with designing and developing good illustrations on a piece of paper. It entails listening to, mixing, combining together, paying respect to the user of that piece of jewellery. What do we need to preserve? Well, we started off saying that we have to be sustainable. Sustainability is indeed the issue. And how are we thinking about it? What are we doing to that? Now, the planet, of course, so now I'm not going to dwell on this. What are we doing on an everyday basis to be sustainable? Well, there's something that we do in our industry. We have to comply also in respect with the different people, different races, different age brackets, paying respect to the individual, to any in his or her diversity. At this point in time, we are experiencing an important degree of freedom. Everybody can express their code, their values, and has been utterly disruptive. Let's talk about the past heritage. Well, paradoxically, these are generative art images that are generated by artificial intelligence, but the prompt, the input, the basic hint has been given by an individual. In this case, for example, a human being. In this case, for example, young people working with artificial intelligence have led to this strong desire for classicism. There's now much talk about the new Renaissance. World where the man is the main focus. And I might say that I'm very proud of the conversations we've had today, because not only have we talked about carats, weights, markets, statistics, that are certainly all important, but today we've talked about something else as well. And please consider that the people that we've just listened to are people that have a huge turnover with windows and shops the world over, that talked about culture, respect, values, and passing on traditions and heritage. And this is not just connected to money, because everything is originated by a word, love, passion, for something that doesn't serve perhaps your wallet, but something that has been conceived with authenticity. And this is true for our future generation and for the sake of the planet. They look different, for sure. They look as if they were coming from different worlds, but they're also extremely charming and mysterious. Here's the trend book 2025. This is the issue that we focused upon. This is the issue we have chosen as the symbol for this 2024 that has just started off with a lot of wars and conflicts and problems. Obviously, we cannot pretend they are not there. Such wars and such conflicts are a reason for great concern and embarrassment, even here at the trade fair. But now it is high time we preserved. Why is that? Well, because we have to grow together, we have to live together, we have to preserve this industry which is closely connected to culture. So we want to preserve and honor the history of culture worldwide. This mood board is very interesting because it combines elements coming from the world over. So you see that there is the Babel Tower. The painting depicts and portrays the Babel Tower, where people depicting that and portraying the fact that the people would speak different languages, and God, whoever she or he is, decided that we should speak different languages, perhaps to create boundaries amongst us, because what unites us is not the word, not the language, but rather the feeling, the way we feel and experience love and other feelings. Here are the main issues. So craftsmanship, and we've talked about cameos. There are many design threads, and there's a document that the Vicenza Trade Fair has come up with, listening the manufacturing guidelines for the next season. So this is an important theme, the flagship for this season. Carving, cameos, everything which is man-made, sculptures, a piece of history is to be worn. From west to east, she is the product of artificial intelligence. Look at her, how beautiful she is. And you see that these new different cameos are reinterpreted. Sometimes are the result of mix and match. So not just as you would expect it, because contemporary consumers may mix and match different items following their own tastes. So collections sometimes are deconstructed. So you may just buy one single earring and combine it with other items to tell the story about the wearer rather than the manufacturer. And you see the culture of these that these jewels represent, including different heritage. This, for example, is a Hong Kong designer that has developed a very Baroque element. The wings are another design element which is going to become very popular over the next few seasons. Wings, perhaps because we wanted to fly away, fly who knows where. Anyway, wings are an archetype, can join together different cultures that refer again to the desire to go elsewhere. Watches. As you see, watches also include miniatures, mosaics. You see that the dials get richer and richer.
The same is true for necklaces. Necklaces become works of art, collectors' items. In Italy and in the rest of the world, it is not by chance that in vintage auctions, not only big auction houses are highly on demand because they sell vintage items, but they're also putting together special collections because jewelry is getting closer and closer to the world of art. It has always been like that, after all. However, like Amedeo told us, the world of jewelry wrongly tried to follow fashion, or to go in parallel with fashion that has totally different market dynamics. So the adjective slow, and this is something beautiful that I want you to take home from this event. I mean, slow buying, slow thinking, slow design. Let's not forget that the biggest technological leap in digitization occurred during the pandemics. And during the pandemics, during a pause that the world was making, the world went digital. So pauses allow for big social revolutions. Heritage, filigree, lace, lightness. It is not by chance that gold is very expensive, 65 euros per gram, 63 point something yesterday, I can't remember exactly. I didn't see the quotations this morning, but it is obvious that designers work on light items given the cost of gold. Then titanium, recycled aluminium, new metals thanks to the new technology. The design is becoming more important than the material. Material which is processed with a high degree of craftsmanship, mixed together with gemstones. As we heard from Lucia Silvestri, gemstones are emotions, feelings. They're a gift of nature, and they infuse us with energy. And we need the energy of the earth. In this world, pearls are still highly significant. Amedeo was talking about pearls before. And more men do wear pearls. And they wear items that they did not used to wear in the 20th century. But in the previous centuries, aristocratic family and noblemen used to use diamond, gemstones, and pearls. The Maharajas were the first ones to order Cartier with beautiful items in the 20s and 30s. China. Well, in China, powerful men have always been wearing pearls, so we're not really reinventing something, but we're going back, following Marco Polo's journey in a metaphysical way, we're going back to our Silk Road. Extrapolating these elements which are part of the global and social DNA of mankind. And let me conclude with the tribal language. Tribes, digital tribes, have their own digital tribal taste. Multiple piercings, minimalistic or maximalistic thanks to the overlapping of many different items. Striking simplicity and the layering of different items worn in a revisited tribal taste, which is the consumer's taste. And by tribal, we mean many rings, earrings, several layers of necklaces, which are not necessarily precious in every case, because we just want to tell what we are. We want to express ourselves. And this inspiration, the tribal inspiration, can be found in all different cultures all over the world, and it is reinterpreted and mixed together with the elegance of our contemporary times. Right, thank you very much for being here. I hope I wasn't boring. I hope that together with my extraordinary guests, we were able to inspire you. I would like to ask all my guests to join me on stage. So thank you very much, and see you at the next Vicenza Oro Fair. Enjoy your year, and let it be an extraordinary year. Thank you.
Finito.